Okay, let's see how discovery how much will discovery cover for each item or for each class of medication. As I said, they are classing the medication and they pay according to class, not a single medication, not a single molecule, I can say. Then let's look at type 2. I'll start with metformin. It's usually the first line agent. So metformin, as you can see, it's under a class of antidiabetics, baguanides. So it's the only drug on that class. So on that class, they'll only cover 50 rands on discovery, regardless of the plan that you're on. So in this case, as you can see, that 50 rand is usually enough for a what you call it, a normal release metformin. So the normal release is usually very cheap. You can get it for less than 50 rands for 60 tablets or so, which is usually the normal dose for most of the people. 500 even cheaper. You can get it for 30 rands, or depending on the brand that you're taking. So they wrote the brands that they will cover fully on the other side. So the big sense, metformin Apex, Accord metformin, diamine, diaphage, fortes, gluconom, myelin metformin, and romidep. So all those they'll probably cover in full. So they only cover 50 rands regardless of the strength as well. So regardless you take 500 or 850 or 1000, they will cover 50 rands. And there are other generics, I mean the originator brand like your glucophage, which is going to be more expensive than this. So if you want to stick to that, you will have to pay the difference. And they also will cover this amount even on slow release metformin like your glucophage XR. They will cover 50 rands, and which is for 60 usually cost about 130 for 60 tablets. Yeah, it's usually around that price, 160. So they don't care, they will cover only 50 rands and you will have to pay the difference. At the moment, I don't think there is a generic that is around 50 rands for 60 tablets. I don't think there is a generic like that. So you most likely to have a co-payment on the slow release metformin. If you're taking 1000, what you can do is you can actually take 2 of the 500 milligrams. I think you will have less co-payment if you take, maybe let's say if the doctor prescribed 1 tablet or 1 gram at night, there is 500 of the slow release tablet. Then you can take 2 of those boxes. They can be around 60 rands, other generic less than 50 rands. So you avoid payment in that way. And then let's look at sulfonylurea. And then on the sulfonyl urea agent, the glinclazide, which is a commonly used one at the moment. There are other ones, but glinclazide is the one that is commonly used. So you will know glinclazide as Dynacars, Dynacars, diaglycide, glizide, gluctem. So those are all generic names of these molecules. On those molecules, they'll pay 125, up to 125. So if you're taking like diaglycide, I think with one box of diaglycide 60, which is about 30 tablet, cost about 60 rands, roughly 60 rands, 60 to 70 rands. I can't remember the real price. So it costs roughly 60 to 70 rands. So if you want to take diaglycide, you might have a co-payment. I've seen a lot of co-payment this year on diaglycide actually. So you will have co-payment if you want to stick to diaglycide and those other expensive brand. But if you take something like Dynacars, glinclazide or Stel, you might not have a co-payment. I think you won't have a co-payment most of the time. I've seen with diaglycide, Dynacars, most of the claims do not have a co-payment, even if you take the quantity of 60 which is also one of the most common prescribed doses. But other sulfonylureas that you may encounter is glimepiride, accord glimepiride, and the other brands. They're not used that much in private sector. You'll find them mostly in public sectors. But it's the same thing. I suspect that they will only cover that amount on those items as well. So if your doctor decides to prescribe those items, glimepiride or other sulfonylureas, then they will only pay 125 rands. So they will limit you on that because it's in the same class of drugs with the glyphosate. And then let's quickly go to insulin. So insulin type 1 or type 2, it's going to be the same. Type 1 or type 2 diabetes is the same. So on the long-acting insulins, so the combination of anti-diabetic, intermediate acting or long-acting combined with fast-acting insulin. So the biphasic insulin, which is going to be your Rhizodec, your Humulin 3070, Humulok 25, then they will pay 700 on lower planes and 720 on executive and lower planes. So usually in this case, in this case you might have to take, if the doctor prescribed these for you, you might have to run away from taking pens. If you take an insulin pen, you get charged more than when you're taking the insulin cartridge. So I'd rather stick with insulin cartridges and shy away from pens if there is an option of a cartridge. So cartridges are simple to use as well. They are as convenient as pens. If I had a pen, I would demonstrate to you how to use it. But at the moment, I don't have those resources. But they are actually also more convenient and they are cheaper to buy than the pens. So that's where you will save if you don't want a co-payment. Stick to the cartridges, shy away from pen if there is an option. In the private sector, we don't use much of vials. Let me say that. Yeah, we don't use much of the vials. So most of the insulins don't have vials in private sector. We get vials if there is a customer that needs them. But most of the newer insulins, they don't come in vials. They come either in a cartridge form or in a pen. They don't make vials. You will still get vials on the older insulins, your Actrafane, your Actrapid, Humulin R. Yeah, you will get vials on those ones, but you won't get them in something like Rhizodec. They don't have vials. As far as I know, Optisulin and Levemir doesn't have vials. So if you look at as well as we're talking about that, if you look at the bottom, which are long acting, which are like your Levemir or your Optisulin, they will only cover 440 on those items because they are a bit cheaper than the combination one. So they will only cover 440 on those agents. I just want to see how much they cover on fast acting. Yeah, on fast acting, your Fiasp, your Apidra, and your Novorapid, they will cover 395 on lower planes and 400 on executive planes. And yeah, same thing, stick to the cartridges. Then you won't have a co-payment. If you stick to pens, you will see a lot of co-payment. And then they say here on the insulin, they cover up to 700. They say please note that overall monthly limit applies to insulin across different insulin classes. So it doesn't matter if it's a long acting or short acting. If you need more, they can't pay more than 700 on lower plane and then 720 on the higher planes. So the highest they can pay for insulin is 720, which is usually enough for about 5 to 6 cartridges, which is usually the dose that most people use normally. Yeah. When it comes to insulin, we are not allowed to substitute insulin. So I want to say take a generic. There's no generic. We are not allowed to substitute insulin, but the doctor can put you on the what do you call it, on the cheaper ones if they can. But we cannot substitute at the pharmacy insulins. They are one of the things that are not allowed to be substituted, as they count as biologics. They we can't substitute them. So you either stick to the expensive one or request from your doctor to change you to a cheaper, maybe a bit older molecule. Then maybe they'll pay, or maybe stick to the formulary, because as you can see here on the FIASP is available. FIASP is available on the executive and comprehensive plans, which is one of the latest fast-acting agents. And then the Novel Rapid is available on the is not available on the key care plans. So if you want a fast-acting one, if you're on key care, your only option will be Apidra, which is also fine, I think. So you don't have a choice of, doctors don't have a choice of putting you on something like FIASP or Nova Rapid. You only can take Apidra if you are on that. They will also cover something like, most of the time they will cover strips and needles because you need them. But on the lower plans, they might be an issue. For example, on this one, when it comes to blood glucose monitoring agents, which is glucose strips, in the lower plane, like KK, you can't get like something like AccuCheck Active strips or AccuCheck test strips. Instead, you can't get them on KK plans. Contour, your only available option is gonna be GlucoCheck, On Call Plus, On Call Show, One Touch. So you want to be you can't take something like AccuCheck Instant, which is one of the widely available strips. Yeah, that's a bit weird. But as I said, they will make it more painful. They will make it as painful as possible for you so that you can upgrade to the higher planes. So these are one of the limits that they put on like key care planes, so that you feel the pain and end up upgrading to a more expensive plan. And then they'll also maybe pay something like needles, lancets, and what else? Yeah, needles and lancets, they will pay those. If you are taking vials, sometimes they will pay for syringes in some cases. Yeah. I hope you get all the information you wanted from this video. In the next video, I want us to discuss what you can do, like things that you can do to avoid these co-payments. We'll talk about that as to what can you do to limit or to reduce your co-payments. I will talk about that on my next video, but I think it's still gonna be part of this series, because I'm gonna divide these videos into divide them into segments, because I don't think I'll be able to post the whole thing. It's quite long. So on our next video, we're gonna discuss what can we do to reduce co-payments, and then I think I will also use a bit of EM guidance and see what options are cheaper, what can you take, or what can you look for your medical, that your medical aid will probably pay. We'll see you on we'll see you on the next part, or in the next section.